The moment you start tracking your brand visibility in AI search, someone is going to ask you a question you can dodge. Your customer or your manager looks at the number and says, which tool should we trust about our score? And should we run one tool or a couple at the same time to make sure we have the right data? The part that makes it awkward that you plug the same brand into two tools and often you get two completely different scores. So which one is right? I already doing AI SEO for 6 months and I've tested different popular tools for my customers. So I found 4 variables that impact this variability of scores. These variables are the prompts you track, the AI chats you track, and how the tool actually pull the data and how it does the final math. Let's go through them and I will show you examples how each of these variables make results different. So the first variable is which prompts do you track. Most tools, they suggest you to generate some prompts based on keywords, and in most cases you will get different prompts based even you will enter the same keywords. Yes, so you see site checker, you see peak, you see prompt watch. All of them have option to generate prompts, and often, especially if you create your first project, generate the list of prompts automatically and only then give you option to add them manually. Yeah. So this is the first step where you get the different inputs in all tools. Yeah. So the only way to fix this, creating their own list of prompts you add manually to each tool and keep this list the same in all tools. But the problem that when you work with different tools, you may find some interesting idea in the data and you can add one prompt in one tool and forget to add it in another tool. So it's always maintenance of this the same list is hard. Yeah. So you have to keep in mind this variability. Yeah. The second one is which AI models, AI chats the tool actually tracks. Yeah. And with Google it was really easy. Yeah, we had Google, we had some updates, but at the end it was the same across all brand tracking tools and so on. Now we have many LLMs and we have different models of these LLMs, and these models they update every quarter, every half a year. This is one issue. Different tools have different pricing models. For example, Peak give you option to use different LLMs, but they don't give you option to use Claude, to track Claude in the first 3 plans. Then, for example, Profound, they have option only to track 3 LLMs in the growth plan and only 1 LLM in starter plan. Then Prompt Watch, they give you option to track all LLMs in all plans, and this is good. Is also what site checkers do, but a few tools allow you to track all LLMs in all plans. So when you start tracking, it's rarely when you start using enterprise plans of all tools, and you can work with them with no limits. When you decide to choose a couple of tools, so you have to keep this limitation. Then third variable, it is how does AI visibility tracker actually track results. So, and I love this explanation is from the interview, like AMA session by Ethan Smith in one of the subreddits about AI SEO, and pretty simple explanation about the 4 types of results you can get in LLMs. And most tools, they rely on 2 types of results. When it's API responses by prompts, and it's logged out user sessions, and this it's like that somebody from incognito mode visit the ChatGPT or Gemini, and without signing up, asking some prompt and get some response. This is what premium tools usually do, because API is limited. It's often doesn't have the citations, the responses are shorter and so on, so it doesn't represent what most of users see when they paste some prompts. So logged out results is something what best tools do, but some of them may use API, and you have to dive deeper in the pricing, in the how do they track this result, because if they use API, it's one of the biggest variables where you will see different visibility scores. And as for the logged in free and logged in paid users, I don't see any tools that do this, and usually this way is the best way to use to track like time to time, once per month, per quarter. You can do it manually for the most important prompts you track. You can check whether it's whether you are visible by prompts in 10 free accounts or in 10 paid accounts, like asking your colleagues or like somebody else to track your prompts. Yeah. So this is the third variable, and the fourth variable is how does the AI visibility formula actually work. Yeah. So most of the brands, most of the AI tracking tools, they use simple formula. They just divide the amount of mentions, your brand mentions, into the amount of responses they get. And the problem with this formula, it's good enough to see whether your brand was visible at all. The problem with it is that it's like the first result in SERP and the 10th result in SERP. They have two different value for you, two different CTR. And the same in the LLM. When your brand is visible, it can be mentioned in different aspects, in different places of the response. It may be mentioned even in the negative light. Yeah. So when you see on the visibility score in the tool, dive deeper about how it's calculated. Yeah, some tools they divide visibility score and sentiment and as the separate metrics. I like the PromptWatch approach, where they have the separate sentiment metrics, but the visibility also count not just visibility itself, but also whether also the context and whether your competitors were mentioned and in which place. Yeah. So when you define which tool to trust, remember that this issue. And here's an example on real data. For example, I have the dashboard in Peak for one of my customers, Tango AI, and this visibility is calculated as a simple formula. I'm the brand visible in 43% of responses. We did a good job here for 6 months. The problem that in Tango I also use a little bit different prompts here, but also this visibility score, see that it's different, and because it's different because it also counts what I see, what the competitors, how competitors mentioned, and what exactly said about your brand. And I also can see on the different prompts level how which visibility I have for different prompts. And also, for example, for you may be interesting that for some prompts you actually, so this is the fourth variable. The thing you also have to remember is that there are two pitfalls when you focus only on one metric in visibility score. The first one, each time you add new prompts to your tool, the visibility score changes because of this new variable, new prompts. Yeah, and it's maybe the problem because often you need to add new prompts. You may discover some valuable new keywords for your brand. Yeah, but you may afraid to do this, because if this is some new prompts, the visibility score will decline once you add them, and you may afraid that the customer or the manager, they will be angry about this. Yeah, so that's why you have to keep in mind that and communicate clearly when you do this, that our visibility score has changed because of this thing. Yeah, and the second pitfall, that prompts also have different value for us, and we forget about this. For example, I have some overall visibility score for the brand. Yeah, and your manager or customer may say, why do we have so low visibility score? But then you dive deeper. Yeah, so you say we track, for example, 100 keywords. Yeah, and yeah, for some of them we don't have the good visibility yet. Yeah, but we started to work on them only 1 month ago, and look on the your top priority prompts, we already achieved 80 or 90% of visibility. Yes, so you always have to dive deeper into the data by prompts, and communicate with more details. Yeah, what do you did, what has grown, what has fallen, and what are the next steps.